When you encounter a perfectly ripe, juicy peach, it's hard not to let it make a bit of a fool of you. It's so sweet and so juicy that to eat it without the juice running down your arm or getting all over your clothes, you have to be a little bit of a contortionist. You put your arm upside down and lean over to eat. And we haven't even started talking about the slurping. But for the flavor of that perfect peach, all the silliness is worthwhile. I'm Charity Nebbe. On this episode of Iowa Ingredient, we'll visit a historic family orchard to see what it takes to grow peaches in Iowa. Then Chef Jamie Powers from Deluxe Cakes and Pastries will stop by the studio kitchen to share some of her innovative recipes using peaches. All that and more coming up next on Iowa Ingredient.
Funding for Iowa Ingredient is provided by the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust, Chef Lisa Laval of Trellis Cafe and the River Center, and Chef Michael Laval of the Des Moines Embassy Club. For more than 100 years, the Des Moines Embassy Club has provided a place to dine, celebrate, and do business, located in downtown Des Moines and in West Des Moines. And the Friends of Iowa Public Television Foundation.
Few fruits can rival the peach when it comes to taste or beauty. In fact, the great French impressionist Renoir used to have his students improve their painting skills by trying to recreate the unique texture of the skin of a peach. That fuzzy, soft, lovely skin that's also delicious. But the peach is more than just yummy. It's also packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants, making this tasty treat also a healthy snack.
Peaches in Iowa are a gamble, but if you can get them, they can be really good. So here's one right here that's got a good red cheek on it, and if it's a really ripe peach, it will pop when you're ready to pull it off the tree. And that's an Iowa peach right there. That's a Coral Star variety. Here's a nice one right here. That's got color and that's got size to it. And you kind of palm it and then give it a little bit of a twist. Did you hear that pop? That pop made, oh, that's going to be a good peach. I might keep that one myself.
Marty Mincer knows his peaches. His family has operated an orchard in the far southwest corner of Iowa for more than 100 years. In 1910, Marty's grandfather earned worldwide attention by saving his crop from a freeze with 1,000 oil-burning smudge pots. The family has also depended on ragtime piano music, teaching lessons and performing to keep things going over the years. Mincer Orchard primarily grows apples, but you can spot the peach trees by their long, glossy green and pointed leaves. Peaches are part of the rose family, along with plums, cherries, and almonds. They can have yellow or white flesh, but all peaches are fuzzy, and they're divided into free stones or clingstones, depending on whether the flesh sticks to the stone or not. In late July, when they're ripe, Marty's yellow freestone peaches are sweet, juicy, and delicious.
I grow what I like to eat. I grow peaches because I like peaches, and I grow the apple varieties I grow because I like the juice, I like the apples. Oh, that looks like a good one right there. Pop. There is no hurry with the peaches. You wait till they get ripe. The secret to having a good flavored peach and one that kind of tastes like cardboard is that you wait as long as you can, leaving that peach on the tree. And that's what makes the flavor.
The orchard's location in the Loess Hills protects the trees from some late freezes. They love the angle of the sun, the slope of the ground, and the soil. Even so, Marty only expects to have a good crop 2 out of every 4 years.
The early springs has probably been what'll zap you. You can have the best looking trees, the best looking buds, and we get into April, late April, and you dip below 30 degrees, your crop is gone till next year. Well, we've got apples. I've also got corn and field corn and soybeans. I play the piano and I can drive a truck. So I've got a few other things just in case we don't have any peaches. These are PF23s, or 22s. Beautiful peach, a little later season peach. They won't be ready for another couple of days at least, but oh my God, that's a great peach. I've got different varieties of peaches because it extends your season. If you just had one variety and they all get ready at once, then you've lost your window. Let's say it rains for 3 days. But if you have varieties that get ready over the course of 2 weeks or so, then you've got an early market, a mid-season market, and a late season market. And that's just, it works out beautiful that way. That by the time word gets around what you're doing, you've still got something to sell.
I'll let her do the picking because she's got the set.
I love the trees, I love the fruit, I love the quiet. Grass and trees and birds and bees. We hear the bees right now out here. It's beautiful.
In Paris, France, pastries are a part of everyday life. That same devotion can be found in a small historic building in Iowa City, Iowa.
It started in 1920 as a grocery store, and then it traveled its way through grocery store, turned into a weaver's studio, and then an art gallery. And then 14 years ago, I bought the building and turned it into a neighborhood bakery.
As an expert in the art of French pastry, Jamie worked in Chicago and Denver before returning to live near family in Iowa City. She enjoys the community atmosphere of her bakery, where croissants are king alongside danishes, macarons, tarts, cakes, and many other divine treats.
It's everybody's guilty pleasure.
Yeah, it is.
Pastry chefs are passionate about their craft, dedicated to perfection, and, as Jamie found out early in her career, slaves to the clock.
There's a sense of discipline in a kitchen. It's almost military. Everything you do is on a timeline. It's teamwork, and I really, really like that. The shop as a whole starts at about 4:30 in the morning. Gabby gets in at 4:30 and does the bake-off for all the croissant and all the Danish and all the breads. Heather comes in at about 7, and I come in about 7:15 to 7:30. The shop opens at 7. So we have people right at the door at 7 for their coffee and for their pastry. Right at 7, if that case is full and the cakes are iced and the croissants are out, we can take a breath, have a sip of coffee, and start our prep for the next day.
Using local ingredients when she can, such as fruit from nearby growers and dairy products from a local dairy, Jamie is pleased with the flavors and textures she offers customers. And she's got a very French secret to her recipes.
It's just butter. I mean, it's just, that's all that it is. So people are like, how do you do this? Well, it's butter. And milk, whole milk. There's no skim here. You can't get a skim latte. You cannot. You cannot get a skim anything here.
Jamie prides herself not only on the ingredients used here, but also on the warm family atmosphere. Her attention to detail is hard to miss. as is her affection for the role her bakery plays in the community.
The bakeries that have the soul to me are the ones that are full-service bakeries that serve everybody's palate in a way of breads to pastries to cakes. I never anticipated this type of rich world when I opened it at 28. I had a hint, I'm 42 now, I had a hint of what it could be, but it has surpassed all my expectations of humanity and just people, yeah.
And now I'm in the kitchen with Chef Jamie, and we're going to bake with peaches, which is very exciting. What are we going to make first?
We are going to make a peach Frangipane tart.
That sounds amazing.
And we're going to be using a sable dough today. This dough I really like as a base for any tart. It's very sturdy and it's very easy to make.
All right.
So let's
no
start with
soggy
that.
bottoms, right?
No, absolutely not. So for this recipe, we need 2 sticks of butter. Everything is made with butter, or go home. So these are at room temp, they're perfect. And then I'm gonna put in 3/4 a cup of powdered sugar, and that really solidifies it. It gives it its sweet, but it's not too sweet, believe it or not.
Okay.
And our 2 cups of flour go in. I like to pulse it at first.
Yep,
Sometimes it comes out just a little bit. And then you can really get it going on one. And I always keep my eye on the dough. It's gonna start to look like Parmesan cheese. Okay, and now we're coming together, and this is where you really wanna watch it. Starting to look a little bit like cheese curds.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let it go a little bit more so it's peeling off the edge of the mixer. And I'm gonna stop it about now.
And then you want to set that aside, right?
I wanna set this dough aside for about a half hour in the cooler while I prepare my other things. We have to shape it on the table. So when we're ready to roll out a tart
It's
or a
already
pie,
the shape you need.
absolutely. Okay.
All right. So we'll put that in the fridge.
Yep.
And then let's talk peaches.
Yeah, let's talk peaches.
So with peaches,
Yes.
of course, you got to peel the peaches.
You
right?
have to peel the peaches when you're doing a tart. So what I like to do is I put an X right in the peach. I like to have a water bath ready to put them in.
Okay, and
we're
how long do they
blanching
stay
them.
in there?
So a blanch is about a minute,
All right.
a full minute to 2.
All right, so these are looking
Yeah.
ready to peel?
They look great. And, you know, we're just gonna use 2 for this tart.
All right.
So I'm gonna start with these 2. And start your peeling as close as you can. And if the skin falls off, great, but if not, just grab a little paring knife and guide it off. And now our peaches are peeled and they're ready to just sit at room temp for a while we get our Frangipane base made and while we shape out our tart dough.
Okay.
So,
All right, we got the dough out of the fridge.
Yes.
But it's not super cold.
no,
you don't like
want
super
it too cold, otherwise it'll break up and crumble on you.
Okay.
And this is the part where you do kind of want to take your time and keep working it down. And here we go. Now I go like this, and then I don't want it to stick to underneath. So the key about rolling it home is picking it up and moving it again, okay? And getting your flour on it again.
Because if it sticks, then it's going to fall
Correct.
apart when you pick it up. Yep.
Right.
Okay.
And this tart, we're gonna put this dough in the tart shell. And it's not gonna look perfect when we do it, okay? But the nice thing about this dough is we can piece it together, and we're gonna put our frangipane on top of it and our fruit. So nobody's gonna know what it looks like underneath.
Okay.
But they're gonna know what it tastes like, and it's gonna be amazing.
This is the part where people kind of freak out because they want it to look perfect, but it doesn't need to look perfect, right?
People completely freak out. It's like, okay, I can't do a tart. You actually can. With this dough, you're just gonna wanna piece it on. Otherwise, you really will.
Okay, so you are purposely cutting it up.
I am, yeah. This is how I would do it, okay? And then you're gonna wanna lift and press in, especially when you're using a fluted pan. If I were to go straight down, I'd cut this dough. So I'm lifting and I'm pressing in with my hand. The main thing is right now, we've got a pretty solid base. There's no holes. So what I'm gonna do now, this is the best part, because now I want you to envision it actually looking like a tart when you're done. I start to really build my sides.
Okay, so
And
you want
here you
that
go.
thicker in there, right?
Yeah, go ahead and take some of these pieces, and this really solidifies your tart. Great, so let's refrigerate that while we make our frangipane.
Okay.
Frangipane is an almond paste that you can put at the base of any tart, and it bakes around your fruits. So you can use any fruit you want. I'm gonna put our stick of butter in, okay?
All right.
And I'm gonna put our almond flour in, and here's our sugar. That goes in. I'm gonna cream these two right now. I put my egg in. I'm gonna put my rum in. And this is still child-friendly. Like the rum, there's not so much in it that they're gonna go, oh my gosh, rum. But if you don't want the rum in, just go ahead and use vanilla.
Okay.
It's fine, okay? And I put my vanilla in, and then I'm gonna let this spin on one until it almost looks like hummus. So we're gonna bring this over to our tart shell. And
All right. And we put the tart shell in another pan just because it has that insert on the bottom.
Yes.
We don't want to accidentally
push that up.
Right.
Correct. So any sheet pan works. I'm gonna spread this out. And our tart shell has been refrigerated, so it does keep it solidified a little bit more.
It already smells amazing.
Yeah.
I can't wait to bake it. We've already cut the peaches up
Correct.
into just slices.
Correct. So what I like to do, you can do any pattern you want. That's the fun part, and any fruit you want. And I do recommend at home baking mostly on a 325 oven in the middle rack.
And then you're watching for just that golden brown.
Yes, yes. And I would set your timer for 25 minutes and walk away. Once you put in this beautiful tart, come back after 25 minutes and it should look golden. And if it's not, then set it for another 5. Okay, so I really like how this looks.
Yeah, that's lovely.
And I'm gonna just take a little bit of cinnamon
Okay.
and a little bit of toasted almonds. This is ready for the oven.
Let's bake it.
Great. You can serve this tart just like this and it looks gorgeous.
Yes.
But what I really like to do when that tart comes out of the oven, about 10 minutes after, grab some apricot jam, okay? Mix it with a little bit of water.
Okay, and just
And
make
see
it
this
glossy.
consistency?
Yeah.
It just makes it magic and glossy.
It's beautiful.
What I also like to do is, this is a fun trick. If you have parchment, if you want to use a towel, whatever you want to use. Now this should be done right before you serve to your guests.
Okay.
Whenever I serve this to guests, I like to just have a bowl of whipped cream and people can just do what they want.
Nice.
So
All right.
I'm gonna get after this too.
All right. Good.
Oh my
And
gosh.
it just melts
I
in
know.
your mouth.
I know.
Oh my goodness. And it's, you know, the Frangipane has that lovely almond flavor, but it's delicate.
It is because we didn't do the extract. And we
Yeah.
did the rum and we did the,
And it's so good
Vanilla.
with the peach, which the peach also kind of falls
Yeah.
apart and melts in your mouth. Oh my goodness, Jamie, thank you so much.
thank you. It's great.
In scientific terms, yogurt is a product of bacterial fermentation of milk. For most of us, though, it's a creamy, tangy treat, and it's been enjoyed around the world for centuries. Making yogurt is simple. Heat milk, cool it down, add a yogurt culture, and let it sit in a warm place for a few hours. Country View Dairy in Northeast Iowa elevates this simple process to an art form. And they do it on a large scale, producing original, Greek, and frozen yogurt in a variety of flavors. It began in 2002 when Dave and Carolee Rapson, who are Mennonite and prefer not to appear on camera, moved to Iowa to start a dairy farm. A few years later, the dairy industry was facing economic challenges, so the Rapsons decided to think about ways to produce a more creative and unique product. Yogurt was the answer.
It is done right here on the farm. We're using quality milk. It comes straight from the cow within minutes from getting milked in the morning to the tank inside the creamery and made into yogurt by the end of the day.
Milk is pumped from the milking parlor across the farm to the creamery, where it's pasteurized at a very high temperature. Once it cools down a bit, yogurt cultures are added.
This takes about a medicine cup full for a 2,500 pound batch of yogurt. There's different cultures depending on what yogurt we're making, Greek or original, but definitely have to be kept in the freezer. Otherwise they'll start doing their thing. Once that freeze-dried culture hits the heat of the milk, then those cultures start multiplying, and the actual yogurt making starts the minute it hits the milk. So there's a lot of action in the processing room once that happens, because then the clock is ticking. They have 2 hours to 2.5 hours, depending on what we're making, to get it all flavored into the different flavors, into all the different size cups, and back into the incubation room.
The cultured milk is packed into the containers it will be sold in and moved to the incubation room. The optimal temperature to thicken the milk into a curd is between 108 and 110 degrees.
These are in the process of incubating. You can see the tops are puffed up, but the cultures are multiplying and creating milk into yogurt. This is lemon custard. This will be ready in about 6 hours to pull into the cooler, and then they'll sit in the cooler overnight and be ready to ship out in the morning. There's two things that make Greek yogurt Greek yogurt. The protein has about double the protein of original style yogurt, and it's also quite a bit thicker than original style yogurt.
The Rapsons do not homogenize their milk. That's why there's a thin layer of cream on top of their yogurt. Visitors are welcome to come to the farm. You can shop for Iowa products and watch the yogurt being made.
That's one thing Dave and Carolee had in mind from the beginning when they built this. They added this little farm store area with the viewing window so they can actually come and see not only the cows where the milk is coming from, but they can actually watch the yogurt being made. And then we always have a calf or two out front if the kids, anyone would want to get up close and personal with the calf and see one for themselves, they can check that out as well.
That's it for this week's show. Thank you for traveling with us on our culinary journey around Iowa. I'm Charity Nebbe. See you next time for another delectable episode of Iowa Ingredient. Keep in mind that circumstances are always changing, so please take a moment to check ahead if you're planning to visit a restaurant, farm, or event featured on the show.
Funding for Iowa Ingredient is provided by the W.T. and Edna M. Dahl Trust, Chef Lisa Laval of Trellis Cafe and the River Center, and Chef Michael Laval of the Des Moines Embassy Club. For more than 100 years, the Des Moines Embassy Club has provided a place to dine, celebrate, and do business, located in downtown Des Moines and in West Des Moines. And the Friends of Iowa Public Television Foundation.